Hello, and welcome to Williamsburg Regional Library's Taijiquan Qigong series. My name is Stan Rockwell. I want to give you an overview of the principles of Taijiquan Qigong so that we can stay safe. Whenever you do any sort of physical exercise, there's always a risk. And the thing with Taijiquan Qigong is the risk is pretty minimal. You just need to stay within the principles. I want to make sure you know those before you actually do anything. If you have any health issues, back off and do what all you're capable of at this moment. You visualize. If there's things that are difficult, you just visualize yourself doing it. Your brain and your body pretty much think you're doing it for real. There's a 70% rule in Taijiquan Qigong. You only do 70% of whatever your capability is at this moment. So if your maximum range is like that, you only need to go that far. You ease into things, you flow into things. These activities have been around, Qigong's been around for probably about 5,000 years. Taiji in modern forms has been around since the 1600s or so, but they're all based in nature. So, first thing we want to do is set up our foundation. And there's visualization throughout all of this. Your foundation is going to be, you visualize an invisible line around the outsides of your feet. Everything within that rectangle is going to be your foundation. You have your feet about shoulder width apart, parallel as you can get them. If you have any issues with ankles, knees, hips, you need to have your toes out a little bit, that's okay. One easy way to find shoulder width, have one foot toe straight ahead, the other foot, the heel comes in at the instep, you turn on that toe, bring your foot straight up, and your feet are about shoulder width apart. There's Chinese medical principles throughout all this, and one of the keys is something they call Qi, and it's just energy. So a basic principle of this is you want to have energy flow in your body as efficiently as possible. Also the blood and lymph. There's no blockages, there's no stagnation. Chinese medicine, they see illness and injury as being a function of blocked or stagnant energy, or sometimes too much or too little energy. So all these exercises are to try to get energy flowing in an efficient way to balance things out. A couple other principles are there's yin energy in the earth, yang energy in the heavens. Humans are in between and balanced between the two. So at this first part, we're getting ourselves grounded both to the earth and to the heavens. You want to have yourself as firmly connected to the earth as you can be. So you have acupressure points in the center of each forefoot called Chen, or bubbling wells. It's the first acupressure point in the kidney meridian. You can visualize an energetic connection there, pulling you straight down into the earth, getting you nice and sealed to the earth. Rooting is a big visualization in all of this as well. So you visualize roots growing down into the earth, just like tree roots. And the ball of the foot at the base of the big toe, the ball of the foot at the base of the little toe, and the center of the heel, just growing right down into the earth, getting you firmly connected. If that causes your feet to flatten out and your knees to kind of bow in a little bit, just bring your arches up till your knees are pointed in the same direction as your toes. Throughout everything we do, your knees and toes are going to be pointed in the same direction. Even if we're standing like this in what's called a bow and arrow stance or an archer stance, knees are still pointed in the same direction as the toes. The knee in this front foot is going to be behind the toes too. You never extend it further than your toes. Once you're grounded to the earth, you connect yourself to the heavens. You have another acupressure point. It's not quite the center of the top of your head. It's back a little bit. It's the same as the crown chakra in yoga, but in Chinese it would be called the Ba Wei. Visualize an energetic connection pulling you up there, or a string or a line attached there pulling you straight up. And as it does, it stretches you upwards. Makes you taller. It starts to stack your vertebrae on top of each other. Make some changes to your body. The tops of your hips become parallel to the floor, to the ground if you're on the ground. Tailbone drops down a little bit. hips move back just a little bit. It flattens out your stomach, flattens out your lower back. But again, if that doesn't feel comfortable, just relax into whatever feels best for you. In China, they play Taiji, so you're playful with this. If you can't smile when you're doing something, back off until you can smile. Tops of your shoulders become parallel to the floor. Your shoulders relax down the center line. Oftentimes when we're stressed, our shoulders start to rise up. Just relax them down. If we're sad, sometimes they slouch forward. And oftentimes we're taught, especially when we're small, to stand at attention, have your shoulders back. But that's very rigid. Just let them relax down. Major principle that comes straight from the Tao Te Ching is softness overcomes hardness, flexibility overcomes rigidity. So just let your shoulders soften down the center line. As that line pulls you upwards, the back of your head rises, your chin tucks in a little bit, it moves your head back over your shoulders, so your shoulders are level as the ears, but level, and your head's nice and balanced on your shoulders. And that's a big part of this. If your head is anywhere out of alignment, it adds extra stress to your body, extra effort to stay upright. And another principle is you only do whatever you need to do at the moment. You only use whatever muscles, tendons, ligaments you need for whatever you're performing. And everything else stays relaxed and ready. Your head weighs roughly 10 pounds for every inch or so out of alignment. And especially as we get older, we start to tilt our head forward if we're walking around looking at our phones all day. We're putting extra stress on our neck, our shoulders, and our back. Because for every inch out of alignment, there's about an extra 10 pounds of weight, perceived weight. So if you're nice and balanced and you tilt your head here, if you're dropping a plumb bob down, it'll be right in the center of your foundation. When your head's out here, the plumb bob's out here, and your center's out here somewhere, so naturally your balance is off. You're having to do extra work to stay upright. And we just want to be relaxed, not doing any extra work. So if you were to drop a line again from that byway down through the center of your body, through the perineum, it should hit the foundation right in the middle. So somewhere equally distant between your ankles or those bubbling wells, depending on how you're built. And that's our central axis. So just relax into that. And at this point, when your body's in harmony with gravity, your organs can function better, you can breathe in a more efficient way. We're going to do a quick experiment. Just put one hand here, center of your chest, heart chakra in yoga. It's the middle dantian in Taiji and Qigong. They only have three big energy centers. Upper dantian, middle dantian, lower dantian. Translates as elixir field. It's basically the electrical field associated with your brain, your heart, and the inner nervous system. But with your hands here, just breathe like you normally breathe. Don't do anything special. Just breathe naturally. When we're first born, this is the hand that would move when we're breathing. We're breathing to our abdomen. Starting about age 6 or so, our posture starts to go downhill and our breathing starts to move more and more up here. Breathing from your upper chest is a stress response breath. Even if there's nothing present to cause you stress, if you're breathing from up here, you're going to feel stressed. Our lungs musculature doesn't really efficiently breathe very well from up here, so you have to breathe faster. And that tells your brain there's something wrong when you're breathing fast. When you breathe from down here, it does a lot of nice things for you. One, it slows down your rate of breathing because you're breathing more efficiently. You're getting more oxygen in and air into more parts of your lungs. It also lowers your blood pressure, lowers your heart rate, lowers your blood sugar, starts to move the blood flow in your body from your extremities, because when we're stressed, we get ready to fight or to flee, so the blood goes out to our arms and legs. When we're resting and digesting, the blood goes back into our internal organs. It lowers the stress hormone level in your bloodstream, and it even changes the size of your pupils. So when we get really stressed, we get tunnel vision in every sense of the word. We only see what's right in front of us, and we go with whatever action we practice the most, even when it might not be the best reaction for whatever that particular moment, whatever's facing us in that moment. So you just want to relax. So just let your arms hang down at your sides. Breathe in through your nose down to your abdomen, pulling your diaphragm down as best as you can. So you feel an expansion around here. On the exhale, you pull the pelvic floor up to move as much air out as you can. Typically, you do breathe through your nose. And I know with tree pollen high this time of year, that might be difficult. The reason they do that is your nose helps to filter the air. It also starts to warm the air up a little bit and add some moisture to it to make it easier on your throat and lungs. On the exhale, you can breathe out through your nose, but for this part, if you want to breathe out through your mouth, that's okay. You would just sigh if you want to, so it would be with that sound, you let whatever tension is inside, whatever tightness is inside, just soften and flow out with that sound and dissipate, and it just leaves you. One other thing about breathing, in Chinese medicine, they would have you touch the tip of your tongue behind your front teeth and the roof of your mouth. And they would see that as connecting two major energy channels in your body. We'll talk more about those in a later part of the series. But the energy would go down the front and up the back and around, basically connecting at the roof of the mouth and the tip of the tongue. It doesn't matter if you believe that or not, but when you press your tongue there just right, you disengage the muscles in your jaw, so you clench your teeth, which is another way we often manifest stress. Just breathe at your own pace. Make the exhale last just a second or two or three longer than the inhale. That also brings in the relaxation response. And breathe. As you breathe, if you feel any tightness or tension across the top of your head, your forehead, your eyes, your ears, your jaw, around your neck, just breathe into it and let it soften. Another way to induce a relaxation response fairly quickly, it does take some practice. It's not just with your breathing, but also with your facial muscles. We express our emotions with our face. So if you just relax all the muscles in your face, breathe to your abdomen, you automatically start to calm yourself. If you feel any tightness down your shoulders and your arms, your hands, your wrists, your fingers, just breathe into it, let it soften. Your chest, your stomach, your back, if there's any tightness anywhere, just breathe into it and let it soften. Your hips, down your legs, your ankles, your feet, your toes, if there's any tightness anywhere, just let it soften. What we're aiming for with our muscles is a state where they're relaxed but ready. When they're too tight, that's too young. When you're tensed up. You don't want them to be that way. But you also don't want them to be totally relaxed like you're laying on a mat in Shavasana. Picture a crane standing in the water waiting for the fish to come by. Very relaxed, very calm, very still. But when the fish goes by, he's able to immediately act. So just breathe. We're going to start at the top and work our way down, loosening up all the muscles in our body as best we can. When you move like you're moving through a gentle resistance. You move like you're moving through water. And the underlying sort of metaphor with all of this comes from Taoism, or the watercourse way, is water. They see it as the most powerful thing there is. Water loses its power when it's blocked and becomes stagnant. So we're moving like water and moving like we're moving through water. So just check your posture, your balance, and your breathing, and that's something you can do anytime, anywhere. I always encourage people several times a day, just do a check. See if your head's out there somewhere, if you're breathing from up here, and just come back to your center. We're going to start off with letting our arms float up with our palms facing to about shoulder high. You turn your hands towards your face. As you press in, you drop the elbows, and it's like you're pressing your head back just a bit, so you feel some movement in your neck. You turn your hands, you press out. You feel the arms extend outwards. but you always keep some bend in your elbows. There's always going to be some bend in your knees. You never fully extend because that can hyperextend the joint and injure it, but you also never fully compress. So there's always going to be some softness. You press in, you press out, and then with that extension, it's called the principle of song. It's expansion of the joints. Come back down as they do. You tuck your chin just a little bit. So even with the movement, there's the yin-yang of expansion and contraction. You inhale on the way up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Do one more. Just come back to center. We're doing this outside, so you may hear some traffic noise in the distance, and you're sure going to hear lots of birds. Any distractions, that's okay. You think of it as a mindfulness exercise. You just take note that it's there. If your phone rings at home, that's okay. Or there's a knock or whatever. You just let it go. You attend to it if you need to. But otherwise, it's just like a leaf floating down the stream. You notice it and let it pass by. Let your arms float up with your palms facing again. This time one hand, either one, it doesn't matter. The palm faces towards the floor. There's a bend in the wrist to activate an acupressure point in your wrist. Fold the other arm over. You have acupressure points called Laogong points where your fingers touch your palm. You line that up with the upper dantian or the third eye in yoga. Keeping your shoulder relaxed and those 2 points connected, you turn 70% of your range of motion to the side. As you come back to the center, lower hand comes up, palms face briefly. It's an exhale and an inhale. Just do 2 more on each side. And just come back to center and relax. Next one for your neck, you turn your head to one side. Again, 70% of your range of motion. Let your chin drop. Just roll across the bottom. Don't press it down. And then just come straight across the center. It's an exhale. Inhale. One more. And then just reverse. Back to the center. For the shoulders, we're going to do shoulder rolls. Typically, rolling your shoulders forward would be like that. If you have issues with your rotator cuffs, just rotate your arms so your palms are facing behind you and make the circles with your elbows. To get some movement in your shoulders, but not put any stress on them. So we'll just begin forward shoulder rolls, just breathing to your abdomen. And then reverse. Back to the center. The next one for your shoulders. Arms float up. First the palms face down, then they turn to face up. Fold over, face diagonally downwards towards you, and press down. So inhale on the way up, and exhale on the way down. This movement is used a lot, particularly at the end of a practice where you're trying to balance everything out. You can visualize yin energy from the earth coming into those Laogong points, yang energy from the heavens into those Laogong points, pressing clean energy down through your body, expelling stagnant, stale energy out through those bubbling wells in your feet. And it doesn't matter if you believe that or not, but the visualization practices have been used for decades in the West for healing, for recovery from injury, for improving athletic performance. Even just the visualization itself can help with health. In Chinese medicine, there's a big emphasis more on health and fitness. You can be very healthy and not be particularly fit, but in this culture, you know for sure that someone could be extremely fit but not be particularly healthy. We're focusing on health. There's a lot of evidence that these movements can also help improve your immune system. There's also a lot of holding the ball. So you're holding a ball with those loud-on points lined up. The elbow of the upper arm is dropped lower than the shoulder. You don't have it up here for a lot of reasons. One of them is it puts stress on your shoulder, your rotator cuffs. In this particular series of movements, this is used to help stretch your back a little bit. So lower hand presses up, upper hand presses down. As you exhale, you inhale to the center. Practicing this, you can do it barefoot if you want. If you're on carpet or you're on grass, just wear flat shoes. Nice thing about this is you don't need any special equipment. You don't need any props. Again, if you learn the principles, you can practice the balance, the posture, the breathing, anytime, anywhere. Come back to the center. The next one is also for your back. We're going to rotate on that center axis, but only from the hips up. So your hips are going to stay still when your upper body is turning like this. And just remember that 70% rule. If you have any back issues, visualize what you can't do and just stay 70% overall. Turn to one side. I've got this hand on top, so I go until the hands are lined up with the hip on that side, then turn the hands around, keeping the palms facing. Come back to the hip on the other side. You can synchronize your breathing so you're inhaling in one direction and exhaling in the other. Just flow into it. Back to the center. Arms float up, palms facing. Bring your fingers so they're pointed straight up. If you can, you bring your arms in so your forearms are touch and your palms are flat together. If you need to have your elbows out, that's okay. But bring your arms out so you're opening the chest. Exhale as you come back to the center and open the upper back. So inhale, exhale. When your arms are back about shoulder width, just pause there. You extend your arms out. You visualize all the joints expanding out. Bring them back, hands towards the shoulder, but not all the way. Keep softness in the joints. It's an exhale and inhale. When your fingers are pointed straight up, just pause there. Just let your hands tilt towards you and away from you. Loosen up the wrists. And then towards and away from each other. My wrists always pop when I do this. And then circles one way, the other way. Fold your fingers over so your fingers touch your palms, thumbs on the outside, so you have very soft fists and you don't squeeze tightly in Taijiquan. If you open your hands and you have fingernail marks in your palms, you're squeezing too tightly. The thumbs are always on the outside. Since Taijiquan is a martial art, you never put the thumbs on the inside. If you get something with your thumb on the inside, you break your thumb. Fists by your hips. Again, that principle of song, everything's expanding outwards. Open your hand, fingers expand outwards, curl your fingers, pull back in. It's an exhale, and an inhale. Flex your fingers. You want to bring them about waist high. And this is one that the Harvard Medical School calls Taiji Anywhere, where you're basically flexing up your fingers. And if you do a lot of keyboard work or a lot of work with your hands can get stiff and sore. And this is a visualization of sorts. As you inhale, you visualize all the joints in your fingers and hands and wrists expanding outwards. On the exhale, just relax and go back to where they were. So inhale, exhale. One more. Just relax. These next few are for your hips and knees and ankles, so there's going to be a little bit of balance work in it. Right now, we're centered right in the middle of our foundation. And I shift my weight over, so all my weight is in this foot. There's no weight in this foot. So now this is my foundation. That invisible line is around the outside of this foot. Put my hands to that side like I'm pressing into a wall. And just bring that foot out however far is comfortable for you. 70% of your range of motion. You want to feel a little bit of movement in your hip right there. If you have, it's an exhale out and an inhale back. If you have new hips, new knees, or for a lot of people who have joint replacement, take it easy. Stay in whatever parameters you're given for the functioning of that joint. And again, you can visualize. Just come back to the center. Put your palms face towards the floor. You visualize they're resting on a banister or a railing. Just breathe. Shift all your weight into one foot. Again for the hips. Hands go back just a little bit, counterbalance, foot goes forward, heel touches, hands come back to the center. If you need to rebalance, just touch your forefoot down, arms go forward, forefoot touches behind you, body stays perpendicular over this weighted foot. You don't go into a warrior three pose. And again, you can just synchronize your breathing. This one always reminds me of a clock. Your legs the pendulum, your arms are counterweights, your body staying nice and still. Back to the center. Shift your weight all to the other side. Up. Back. Back to the center. For the next couple, you have your toes pointed towards the corner, a little bit of space between your heels. And again, the principle is, in most of the things we do, there's space between your fingers, a little curve in your hand, unless you're doing a fist. There's always going to be space under your arms, space in the groin, because they feel when you press in too tightly, you restrict the flow of blood, lymph, chi. Visualization teachers I've had was that you visualize like a tennis ball there, so you can't press those arms into your body. This one, you're going to have some space between your heels, too. Toes towards the corner. Fists at your hips. Shift all your weight into one foot. Rotate the other foot on the toe. It goes straight up with where it was. Touches down. And you punch with the opposite arm. And come back. It's an exhale. And an inhale. You can just flow into it, ease into it. But remember the expansion of the joints. You're pretty good with your balance. You can practice a kick. Come back to the center. Earlier we showed you the bow and arrow stance, the archer stance, bow stance. We're going to do that in this one. Shift all your weight into one foot. Rotate forefoot. Step straight up. It doesn't have to be very far, but you notice there's some space between the feet, so they're not lined up like this. You want to visualize yourself like you're standing on railroad tracks, not a tightrope. Shift your weight up. You punch with the opposite arm, and you get that nice stretch. Come back. It's an exhale and inhale. I really like this one. It's like a full body stretch. Inhale and exhale. If you're wondering about the inhale and the exhale, you exhale on a yang where you're giving energy out. It's like you're pushing the weights out when you're lifting weights. And inhale on the yin when you're bringing energy in. But don't worry about that. Think too much, you tighten up. Whenever any part of your body is tense or tight, it throws your balance off because someone else is going to have to compensate for it. So just relax into these things. Shift all your weight into one foot. Your heel and toe with the other foot. Come back. Same thing on the other side. For the lateral motion in the ankles, just shift your weight to one side. Pick a spot where you can touch the outside of your foot and the inside of the foot as close to the same place as you can. So you're focusing on the ankle. Same thing on the other side. And your posture, getting your balance, shift your weight over. Being very gentle with your hip, knee, and ankle. First, just make a circle in one direction, in the other direction. Same thing on the other side. In the other direction. Come back to the center. And start to shift your weight from one side to the other. Going to do just a little bit of balance. Shift your weight over. All my weight's in this foot, so I'm getting myself centered over that foot. And just relax down into it, and the heel of the other foot naturally comes up off the ground without me doing anything. So I want to just let the toe float up a little bit. If you need to keep your toe on the ground, that's okay. If you need to put your hand on a chair or wall or railing, it's okay too. Or you can just visualize yourself doing it. Come back. Shift your weight to the other side. Rises up. And this is one you can do anytime, anywhere. I'm waiting for the microwave to finish. I'll do this one. If I'm in line at a store, and there you've got the cart in front of you to put your fingers on. So just having a finger on the wall can really help with the balance. Again, nobody's going to notice. You can practice this. Come back to the center. Have your feet. There's two versions of shoulder width. Outsides of the shoulder, outsides of the feet. Insides of the feet, outsides of the shoulders. We're going to use that one. We're going to finish this one off with something called 5 elements. And it also translates as 5 energies. Again, it's an underlying principle of Chinese philosophy that different energies can bring other energies into being. Energies can also destroy other energies. This is one of bringing energy into being. The first energy is earth. Bring your hands so your fingers are facing. You also might notice your palms get a little red during this, or you might feel some tingling or some heat, and that means you're being skillful. Don't worry about getting stuff exactly right or wrong. There's no set way to do this. You do it within the principles for posture, balance, breathing, but you can see the same series of movements with the same name that are done differently depending on which family it comes from. For this, it's just a breathing exercise, so just inhale, exhale. Just do a few more breaths at your own pace. Bring your hands up to that middle dantian, palms facing. Earth gives rise to metal. Metal is basically a movement called open and close. So as you inhale, it's like there's a big ball of energy expanding out. And the exhale is like you're pressing that energy back in. Inhale. Exhale. Come back to earth. Metal gives rise to water. And when it's humid and you can see water forming on metal, that makes sense. Water flows downward. Again, stay in your comfort zone. And when you bend, you don't bend at your waist like that. You have your hips go out, so you're keeping your center over your foundation. So my hips are going to go back like I'm about to sit into a chair. It's more like a squat. It's not a bend, really. It's an exhale down, and inhale up. Back to the center. I'm just doing about 3 of each of these. If we were doing this traditional style, we'd probably be doing some multiple of 3, but it'd be more likely 9 or 18. Water gives rise to wood. You rotate your hands so your fingers are facing forward, and it's just like a big circle. It comes up, chin high. It's an exhale. It's an exhale up, and an inhale down. 3. Let's do one more. Back to earth. Wood gives rise to fire. So I'm going to rotate to my left. My left hand lines up with my right hip. Right hand comes around on top, so the lao dong points of the palms are facing, and it's like a bellows. It's an inhale and exhale. Turn on that center axis. As you do, you rotate your palms, keeping them facing. Rotate your hands. So inhale and exhale. Back to the center. Massage is a big part of Chinese medicine and Qigong, both external and internal. Internal is something called silk reeling we'll go over next time. But for this, you bring your hands up and it's massage down the back energy channels. If you want to do a little extra over the kidneys and the lower back, that's okay. And up the front and down. Bring your arms around in front like you're hugging a big old tree, elbows drop, shoulders nice and relaxed, bend in the knees, always a little bend in the knees. And just breathe. And this is called standing stake or standing pole. It's a standing meditation that's used a lot in traditional Tai Chi training. If you take it from a traditional teacher, this might be all you do for the first number of weeks. Might stand like this for half an hour or more at a time. You make all these movements we do as easy or as difficult as you want. Make them easier by bringing your feet closer together and making the steps shorter. Make them more difficult by bringing your feet further apart and making the stance a little more challenging. Again, go with whatever you feel most comfortable with. When you've held this for however many breaths you want, or whatever time you want, or till you just feel like, okay, I'm done. You balance everything out with the movement we did earlier. Hands come down, you inhale, and exhale. Just like you're moving through water. Shift your weight into your right leg. Your left foot comes in. Left hand is flat. The thumb comes over. The right hand becomes a fist. And they come together as a sign of mutual respect. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you again next time. Stay safe, healthy, and well. Take care.